All right. Hello, everyone. We're back.
Hello.
Back again
Hello.
to try and
Yeah,
remember
some
what
stuff.
happened
Oh my god, we're back
sometime.
again.
Yeah. So it's just the three of us this time, I think. So we will be doing what we did last time of just trying to remember season one of Tiding. Both it's part of like for us, so that we remember once we go back into recording for part two, which should be coming soon. And also like it seemed like a fun thing to do for everyone else, so that you can remember yourselves and get a bit of a recap, and also help us remember and ask questions and all of that stuff. Um, yeah, I am just going to put a message in the Discord, but can anyone, either of you two, remember where we got up to last time? I thought we did we just get to like getting out of the caves?
Yeah, we wrapped up the first arc. We got to the
Mm,
like out of the caves, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, we've got us three together, but we've got two incredibly unreliable narrators, i.e., me and Steve, and then.
Talking about Chris's,
Well,
Chris thinks he knows what's going on at all times.
but that's the thing. Like, and Ven's is the complete opposite. Absolutely no idea what's going on at any given time. So,
Yeah, it'll be fine. It's
um,
okay. We've got the episode notes to like guide us again, so that will help us through.
Thrin's excellent
And
notes.
Frin is in the chat, so Frin can correct us.
Excellent.
I enjoy that. So I was looking at one of the maps before we did this, and it has a very similar thing of like
I just
it shows the journey from like where we started in Ninut to like out of the caves, and that is two-thirds of the way we went, and then the next one-third is just Senya, which is what we're going to be talking about this episode. Oh yeah, Ryan's just put that up. Like
yeah.
two-thirds of that is Ninut to out of the caves, and this uh little islandy bit, this little pool of islands that I think we started episode 9 at. So, and I'm also hoping that like this session can be the same as that. Of like we've done eight episodes in intense detail. Now let's do the remaining 22 in an hour. We can do that, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we did some walking, found some graves, met Aloma Labrensis, some stuff in a hole. There was a gun, some chains. The end.
Oh, we're done. Okay, cool.
Wrap it up.
That's everything. That's stream over. Thank you. Yeah. No, yeah, but that's mostly it. And once again, like if you're listening to this and you care about spoilers and haven't listened to Tiding, you might want to listen to Tiding first, because we are going to be spoiling the entire thing with no reservations. But yeah. So I think like we last time we got to the bit where we're out of the caves, Vilta woke up, and I think we spent a couple of episodes just kind of on those islands, right? And all I seem to remember about those episodes was there's a lot of like different people telling Briss that she should like make a decision. Like, hey, everyone wants you to make decisions. Will you make some decisions, please?
Listen, people have been telling me that my entire life.
Yeah. And Briss's response is to go on a camping trip. It, is that all that happened in those two episodes?
You made a promise.
Yeah, we did make a promise about doing the camping trip.
Yeah.
Let me zoom in on the map a bit. Make that a bit bigger.
Yeah, I think like Briss's understanding of it was that people kept trying to make her be a leader.
Mm.
The one thing she very specifically does not want to do, and they just kept insisting. And I don't think it's
Yeah.
worked yet, but it's kind of she's been kind of nudging in that sort of direction a little bit.
I think it was like less people trying to make you be a leader and more like, hey, everyone is looking to you as a leader. You might, want to act
Everyone
like one.
thinks you're a leader. Can you fucking step up, please?
Yeah. And yeah, I think the other stuff that happened in those episodes, just looking at the notes, Ven's apparently chatted with Cast for a bit, and as Finn said, met the Sharrow Dog,
Yes, good lead.
which is Leaf, yeah, who it turned out was not just a regular dog, but was a bit of the remnant, the last bit of the Sharrow. Apparently, Charla and Corin climbed a tree, which was, if I remember right, the tree that has like loads of like the leaves were birds, and the others went into the sky, which is like the bit of irrelevance that we saw, which is one of the territories we'll be going into in the new season, and hopefully lots of territories. Like my big idea for like Tiding Part 2 is like lots of journeys, lots of like hopefully moving quicker through spaces. But we'll see. We'll see what's happening in those spaces. Like if everything has like Cenja levels of free factions doing stuff, who knows? And yeah, I think Belka had some time with Vilta, who Belka was very mad at. Because, you know, Vilta just disappeared, and yeah.
Yeah, they just had a bit of a long sleep and
Yeah.
had a rest.
The crisis happening. How dare you take a nap?
And then, can you remember how we ended those episodes, Briss?
Camping trip? Was that the end of that, or was that later?
I think I can't remember whether you might have gone off then. Yeah, because you went to scout ahead. But the thing I remember was it was when Corin saw the spirit trees.
That's what I was going to ask. Actually, is that when Corin starts getting a bit spooky and weird? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sort of. And Briss was like, "No, I can't see any spirit. No, I can't."
No.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's nothing happening. Stop being weird. Please don't ever do a magic.
Don't do a magic. Please don't.
Please don't. Magic be bad. Look, you might end up like Vens.
No, it's not even that. It's not. You might end up like Vens. Just you might end up like Charla.
I mean, now it's you might end up like Neo, right?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Or the Mustang.
Oh.
And I remember we sort of alluded to the fact that the jackals that originally hunted the Sharrow had like a weaver that, an unraveling that went full unraveling. That Briss like witnessed. So.
Oh God.
So like magic is like, oh God, no, that's what happens to people what do magic. And then Thorin starts being all spooky and she's like, no, denial, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
It's actually not happening.
That thing of like, hey, here's a dangerous thing that's happening, instead of dealing with this in a way that would be healthy and good.
Yeah. No. When has Briss ever dealt with anything in a way that is healthy and good?
Yeah. What else happened? There were just some gaps in the episode. Apparently, like, Strail is with Charla, that was your thing, and the remnant of this space, because you entered Cenja, which, as a reminder, is like a territory of the remnant Doya, who was a big like bank of fog that you could speak to through the conduit, which comes important later. But like the territory is centered around like grief and memory. Like it's specifically about remembering people rather than, oh God, this is sad. It is a little bit, oh God, this is sad. But like, yeah, like
big cool graveyard, lots of gravestones, lots of memorials.
Yeah.
Like
but also like lots of trees and,
very
and
good
stuff
vibe,
like that. Yeah. It's like where you would shoot your teenage goth music video, essentially. Anyway, we moved. I don't know what happened in episode 11, so I'm gonna look at episode 12 and try and remember. So, like, the stuff I remember is like you kind of go off into this space. I'm trying to remember if you go ahead of everyone. I feel like you do. I feel like this is the camping trip straight away, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Wasn't it straight? It was like as soon as we got near to Cenja.
Yeah.
Climbed up the cliff, or climbed up like a pass into Cenja, and then there was it was like, yeah, okay, pretty much straight away off on a camping trip, and then for some reason, why did they have to bring Vens along? I think they wanted to talk to the kids wanted to talk to Strail, wasn't it? Or something like that.
No, it was.
They want to talk to Vens about Strail.
Yeah.
Strail, that's it. Yeah.
Like something weird is happening. Like this is the start of Charla like turning to every adult that she knew to be like, "Hey, there's something weird happening. Can you help me?" And every adult being like, "No, I don't believe you. No, that's not happening. No, I would." Or at least in Charla's mind, that's what they were doing.
Wait, are you saying it's our fault that Charlotte ran away? Rude.
No.
I mean, it's quite an extreme running away.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I don't think like any of the adults would deliberately or some of the adults would deliberately do it. Maybe Charlotte spent too much time around Briss, and I think Briss might be like Briss be like, no, I don't know anything. No, I'm not going to help you. And like every adult's like responses being viewed in that light like felt like the thing.
It was extremely like adults in any kids and bikes show, right? Just like not by believing it, so the kids have to do the thing on their own.
Yeah. Like the nice echo that I like though is like Charla at the same time was doing that to her family. If that makes sense. Like it felt like it's like an adult child thing, but it's also like a very human thing to do when there's something big and scary.
Yeah.
And like Charla never acknowledged that like she was doing that with her own family and refusing to ever go back there because there was that scary thing happening there. But yeah. And then so we go on the camping trip and we meet the two best friends who are, if anyone remembers. Who are the two best characters in the show?
Memento Mori.
Yeah. Do you remember which one was which?
Yeah, Mori was not like Memento.
Yeah, one of them was the statue, one of them was the rose bush, right?
Yeah.
There we go, nailed it.
Let's say Mori was the statue.
No, you went around.
Fuck.
Memento was the statue, nailed it. Yes, first time.
Yeah. But yeah. So Memento was a statue of like skulls and moved by kind of creating new statues, and Mori was like a rose bush that was constantly wilting. They talk together. Apparently, at some point, Callahan tries to fight one of the spare, but Belka's like, "No, I'm just going to talk to them. You can't fight these. If these want to hurt us, you know, it is what it is."
It's very good.
It's interesting reading this back because, like, in my head, it's like we met Memento Mori, and then vague camping stuff happens, and then we get to Tilla Brack's house, and I'm trying to like fill in the details in my head of like what happened between then and meeting Tilla Brack.
There was
Other than potatoes.
the potatoes incident. Yeah, that was a whole thing.
In which we learned that you don't like campfire potatoes. Not just Briss, but Steve doesn't
Yeah,
like.
it was me specifically. I'm sure Briss is like fairly different to them, but
Briss is just like, well, what's the nutritional content of these potatoes? That's all I care about.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what happened with the conversation with Benz about the about Strail.
You mean like the Charla one?
Yeah, it was Chala and Corin, wasn't it?
Yeah, I feel like this was after the campfire potatoes, because didn't they like sneak out at night to have this conversation, or something?
Possibly, or just sent Briss off on her own.
No, I was. I'm like speed reading the notes here, but I think Vens was out looking for breakfast.
Okay. Oh, you're not even like. You're not even on your camping trip yet. So I was just looking, like, you meet Memento Mori before the camping trip happens.
Yeah, that was before.
Because you have to take Fen as well, because like Vilta's like, hey, can you take this other kid? I know how much you like kids. Can you take, like, yeah.
What people are doing it on purpose at this point.
Oh, yeah, Briss loves babysitting.
I think the camping trip was like happened at the end of this episode. Like it was like Then we were like, oh, let's go on the camping trip.
Let's just get this obligation out of the way. I made a promise, got to stick to it. Can we just get it done, please?
Yeah, but it looks like Charla has a spooky chat with Strail in the episode before, in which I think like Charla just tries to work out what Strail wants to some degree, and yeah, Chal and Corin are released to go find Vens. Vens is is out looking for breakfast, peeping at tombstones and trying to learn things about the remnant here and fill his tongue. He's rolling a scared, bewildered, pay attention, and failed it. He's noticing that the trees are weird. He can hear noises through the trees, a language he doesn't know, phrases and words in general muttering. It's very distracting, and Vens does not like it. He's just sat on the floor trying not to be hella overwhelmed when Cello and Corin arrived. I forgot that this conversation is just like Ben's just like, I could hear voices. Why was it
Having a bad day.
yeah.
Suddenly Charla.
Vince's interest in Corin is reactivated and it's time for a gripe about trees being too loud. So I guess you both share that. And then Charla opens this conversation about Strel by just offloading it all. And
Classic.
apparently Vens can't sense remnants unless you're attuned to it. So you're like, something's not quite right, but like I can't just see Strel here. Yeah, and then I can't remember what happens in this conversation. Do you just I feel like the ulterior motive that was going around at this point is like because Vens was trying to look for a remnant to like hook up with, right?
Yeah,
like Vens had lost Jarrow.
I was
I feel
on.
like there's
Vens was
yeah.
on. Was on Remnant and
yeah, like
swiping.
Like I feel like you were trying to work out, hey, what's going on with this kid? But also I remember just like there being like an edge of like, huh, Strail, eh? He's a
Yeah.
storm god. Do I want storm magic next?
It could be. If I remember rightly, it just didn't work out though. I was just like, did I speak to Strail?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did speak to Strail, but through Charla's voice. Like it took control of Charla and talked through Charla.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like basically Strail asks you for a bunch of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, basically you have a conversation, go like, nope, this remnant seems bad. I don't want to.
I don't want this. I don't want this. Charla, this is your problem.
Yeah. I think there's a point where you're like, should I just boot out Strail? And Charla was like, no, I'll be upset. And you're like, that's reasonable.
Should I let this child continue to carry this gun?
Yeah.
Oh, it's her emotional support gun. Okay, no, maybe not.
Look, who would want to separate a child and their all-powerful magical being
from a deadly storm creature, storm god thing?
And I think looking at this, a part of the reason why the camping happened so early is that Strail wants the camping to happen so early. Here's a storm god that's like, hey, will you like leave all of these people and just the 5 of you in isolation go somewhere?
Yeah.
Because I think there's like a bunch of like stuff during the camping episodes where we just see Strail and Charla interact and learn more about each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then camping happens. As we said, there's potatoes, there's probably some other stuff.
There was the waterfall where something went bad and you introduced some shadowy figures.
Who turn out to be oh no, wait, no, you get 2 sets of shadowy figures, don't you?
Yeah. It was the
Yeah, there's some people following you who I think I've got a feeling like through the season there are 2 sets of shadowy figures following you at one point.
Rude.
One turns out to be Captain Lima Labrensis.
Yeah.
Who comes knocking at the door in a bit. The other one is, I guess they're not revealed on screen, but is names. What's the name of this person?
There's the
one that writes the letters, right?
What's that? Sorry.
The one that writes the letters is who it is.
Yeah.
Who writes the little brother? Like that's who they're addressed to. I'm trying to remember.
We had Daresh show up at some point, didn't we? Trying to kill Leaf. Was that before or after camping?
Oh, that's way later. Yeah,
Is that late?
that's
Okay. My sense of time is all over the
think-
shop.
yeah. When
I
does
think-
that happen?
Right?
I feel like that's after camping by a long way.
Maybe.
Because Kest. I thought they chose to get away on purpose because Joe was wanting to do something and they didn't trust it. Yeah, maybe that's more it. Is one of the comments in the chat. Oh, Terrell, I don't think was following you. I think Terrell was just there. It's one of the people who worked at Terrell. It was Ulan Bakal, was the person who you only ever encountered through the letters.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It was the one like, hey, yeah, I'm following these people. I mean, I think you might have encountered them in another form because I think there was a letter which is like, hey, I'm going to infiltrate this group. At one point, but that was very like it was never made explicit on screen that had happened.
I completely missed that.
I think there's just a thing of like, hey, because like a lot of Owen McCall's letters are like, hey, look at these nice people. Oh, look at this horrible man called Vens who's in the middle of them. And then I think one of the later letters is like, I'm going to get close to Vens, very close to Vens.
This horrible man.
Yeah, like, yeah.
So,
I think called you anathema at one point,
wow.
He's disguised himself as a can of beans.
But yeah, I feel like the Darish attack. In my head, it was post going into Cenja.
It was after camping, wasn't it?
It must be
Yeah.
because Cass gets injured, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cass gets injured, gives Briss gun. That's where she gets the gun.
Yeah, so it must be after camping before going into eulogy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so is there anything else in camping that feels important? I'm sure there is, but it's fine.
My favorite thing was there was a big conversation before camping when apparently everyone was ready to go camping, and then Vens shows up and Briss is like, "What the fuck? Why are you coming camping?" And then
we definitely had the conversation because you brought Vens brings up that that Corin's showing some sort of talent or some sort of connection to the spirits and stuff.
Showing the signs.
Don't you dare! You're forbidden from teaching him anything.
I feel like my favourite camping-based line is just Belka being like, okay, so what's camping? And then it gets explained to them, and Belka's just like, aren't we already camping? Isn't this what we're doing?
I can't believe it's been Belka to point that out.
Yeah, it's when you walk through the wilderness and you eat stuff that you forage, and you eat around campfires, and you set up a tent every night and you sleep in a tent. And Belka's just be like, what?
Literally what we've been doing for the last how long?
While like,
except you get
I think it must be like a couple of weeks, 3 weeks by now, right?
Yeah, it's a fair while.
I think in my head it's between like 2 weeks and a month. Although actually you go camping and one of the nights you end up spending in Tillabrecht's house because you get, as well as being followed by those shadowy figures, you go into the water and you meet Tillabrecht, who is like a rancher. And I think you see them with like a couple of what we called Occant, which are like...
They were awesome.
Yeah, just big moths that don't fly, but are like trained as riding animals. And yeah...
Moths. For some reason I've got in my head the like silt striders from Morrowind. Like big grub-looking things.
Weren't they like wood lice?
Right, yeah, they're totally described as moths several times.
Yeah.
Picture in my head.
There were wood lice. There was a second animal once you get to the ranch.
Yeah, the wood lice thing. Like
it's like a big, a big wood louse.
Yeah, okay, alright.
Yeah. Because you go to the house and have like a nice meal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Of like, I think you have like a wood louse egg omelette, which
sounds delicious, honestly.
Yeah, it's probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Just
It's
yeah,
probably
don't
like a weird mix between like an omelette and caviar. I don't know.
yeah, just don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other important thing is you learn about like the deeply sad life of Tillebrecht, whose like partner died, which is why they're here. I think their partner was an artist because there's like the barn. I think you went into like full on RPG mode of like
Yeah, Bruce went fully. I do not trust this random person that we've just met in the wilderness. I'm going to explore every inch of their land and figure out what the hell their deal is. Yep.
yeah, yeah, and it's like, oh, here's a sad barn filled with art that Tillebrecht refuses to acknowledge or go in. Please
Bring
leave
this
me
up in a
alone.
way that will cause the least trauma possible.
Yeah. I feel like you didn't have to, or like maybe you did a little bit, but like you go to bed and then here comes everyone's favorite character,
Oh yeah.
Captain Aloma Labrensis. Yeah,
Who wants to take Tilla in?
yeah,
Or more memory extraction, I believe.
yeah. So basically, the setup I had for Senya is I did like the very traditional like I don't know what's going to happen in this place, but I'm going to prep like a situation, which was you've got Senya broadly. Eulogy is like the capital town, which is where the monks kind of live. And they are called the Revenant Chorus. That's the right one, yeah. And basically, that's the order of monks. They're kind of semi-independent, but like the Satrapy of Theatre like rules them. So like that's who Aloma Labrentis works for, is the Satrapy.
Mm-hmm.
So like the monks have been like, can you go get this person because we desperately need. I don't know how much we explored why they needed the memories that bad, but I think we met some of the monks under like I feel like the Oscult wasn't pushing for it, but there was a second monk who was being a bit rubs. Who some might have been like chicken like? Was it the Lac Saxenius or something like that? I remember someone fought them. I can't remember who. But yeah, like so basically they were kind of like at this point abusing their relationship to Tilla. And I think then the other stuff that was happening, so you just give the full background, is the Conclave of Sema were also there, who I think both the Satrapy and the Revenant Chorus had a relationship with that was like, hey, yeah, we're not friends, but we're not enemies. We kind of can all. They're sort of like separate entities, but it's like the thing that's in my head right now is like if the Satrapy are cops, like the Conclave turning up is like the FBI turning up, right? Like it's like okay, we kind of have different jurisdictions, but like we can both operate in the same space, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they were there is because Venz's best friends were doing a heist, and that was the Splintered Breath, which was all of like the monks and stuff. Yeah, so that's like that was the instigating thing that was making all of the situation a bit chaotic.
Yeah, danger monks.
Yeah, good point that Lax is able. What is it like the careless? I'm gonna have to find my character sheets. But yeah, so Alona the Princess turns up. Can you remember what else is happening at this point while I look for my characters? I think like Briss was having a wonderful time.
Yeah, Ben was cocooning, I believe.
Yeah, yeah.
Before or after? This is
During, at the same time
During,
that Captain
yeah,
Alona
yeah.
turned up.
yeah, of course. Versus just squaring up for a fight, daring Loma Labrensis to make the first move. Hillebracht, I believe, agrees to go with him in order to just stop the tension. Or
Yeah, if I remember right, he just kind of like like had that kind of like turns a bit sour, right? Of like, okay, I don't want to bring a load of suspicion on these 10 people that are in my house, including children. I'm just gonna go.
yeah, yeah. Does somebody go with them? Or does somebody
Belka
follow
and
close behind? I think.
Yeah, Vens was on follow squad.
Yeah.
yeah, who went first? I know Belka did.
It might have been Vens and Belka.
But I feel like doesn't Vens turn up? Who was that first meeting with the Oscult?
No, Belka goes with Tiller to make sure that Tiller's okay.
Yeah.
And then Vens follows behind, and Briss takes all the kids back to the caravan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I think, when oh yeah, 'cause you go back, and that's when the attack on Leaf happens.
Bingo. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Um.
Do we do
Oh,
know
wasn't it Belka and Callan? Probably.
I can't
Possibly, or Aya?
no. Callan goes with Charla, I believe. But Charla shows
Okay.
up at some point on her own, or just her and Callan after she decides she's got to split.
Oh yeah, it's just Belka, I think.
Hmm. Belka's then following, and then yeah, after everyone gets back.
Oh, God. I just remembered Lentil.
Yeah, so you get the festival when you get there, which is, what was the festival called?
Lentilic?
Lentilic, yeah, which is like the Gothic New Year, essentially, in which everyone goes. I think the thing that happened that was like everyone goes and lays like flowers on graves that no one would otherwise turn up to.
Lentil.
Which will be a lot of graves, because like a lot of the graves in Cenja just appear. Like, it's not necessarily like this is a grave for this person. It's also like this is a grave for this possible person. This is a potential grave for someone who potentially lived in this potential style. Maybe. And yeah, Finn says in chat, judgmental, which it was. It was the judgmental observer Exenius was the character.
Mm. Oh, be right back a second, guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So was when we got back to the caravan with kids, Woodlouse, and Cocoon.
Yeah.
Isn't after that when Charlotte has that incredible chat with her folks.
I think we have the ice bear thing first, and then we have the chat, maybe.
Ice bear.
Because I've got Vens going back to eulogy. Yeah, basically everyone heads back to the caravan. I think Chala has a chat with Iov. And because I think this was the point where they might have fallen out a little bit because of the storm god, and they kind of make back up again.
Mm.
And then, like, as you're camping, this is the bit where Verask comes up to be like, "Hey, Briss, you let my face be ripped off."
Oh, I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was I believe the response was, "Yeah, and I'd do it again."
Yeah, you got a mixed result, and you sort of get away with it. Of like, hey, it was a fight. Hey, like it was like totally fair. Of like, hey, it was a fight. Hey, my kid was there.
Yeah,
like it's hard to make decisions in that moment, and everyone being like, I guess, yeah, you are the one that does fights.
I believed I made the right decision at the time, and I refuse to regret it.
Yeah.
So, I love Brett.
But yeah, then Darish turns up. After that.
Yeah. Oh, this fucking guy.
But as a result of that failed roll, that's what your mixed success was. Was like you convince people, but then hey, here's Darish.
Bastard shows up.
Yeah. I think charges at Leaf because like Darish is trying to kill the last piece of Sharrow, which is why Darish is there.
Yeah.
Cast does a protect.
Mm-hmm.
And then and you do a protect to protect the dog.
So he fails to protect.
Yeah, because there's a ghost.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I think you're like, oh no, this is going to be bad. like I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen. Like I genuinely thought this was going to be a much rougher scene, and that Leaf might end up just gone. But like Chala does the ice bear, and just
Yes.
half of the Rish is dead. Like the spirit half of the Rish is just torn to shreds.
Straight up gone.
Yeah, and
Doesn't have a shadow anymore, is it?
yeah,
So
I guess like this is a weird difference. No, it's the same. Sorry, I'm just like linking back to Embrace because like I'm now remembering that Darish is the same character as Embrace Darish.
I can't believe you brought. As soon as you brought Darish into Embrace, I was like, you.
Like there had to be some overlaps, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and but like I enjoy that Darish has the same sort of ability that we saw. The other two have Valor and Vigor. No,
Yeah,
is it Valor and Vigor?
yeah.
And then Virtue. Virtue is the uncle.
Yeah, because Valor and Vigor, one of them's spoilers for Embrace, by the way. If you're watching this and you haven't listened to all of Embrace yet, just close your ears for about the next 5 seconds. Yeah, because only one of them's real, isn't it? And the other one's the projection.
Yeah.
Flipping Embrace. Embrace just causes problems all over the bloody world. Flipping jackals.
I enjoy that in retrospect. Like the entirety of this season is look at the problems that Embrace caused for this one random village 500 miles away.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly like of all of the 5 stories that we've done, 2 of them are doesn't Embrace cause some real problems, and a third is about Embrace.
Yeah.
Those jackals just suck.
The other thing I'd forgotten was you also meet Obil, like as Belka goes into the.
God, I'd forgotten about
And,
Obil.
like Obil has the worst day when Belka sort of storms past them, like, "Hey, no, you've taken my friend. I'm gonna go speak to the Oracle," and that chat doesn't go well.
Yeah.
And then I remember like Vens comes in and just does the same thing, just rips this poor priest to shreds.
They end up coming with us. Or,
Yeah.
is it he? He him?
They, I think.
They them.
Could
Okay.
be he, they. Just. Oh,
Probably worth checking.
what I need. The Laxipal. Oh, Bill. I don't know. I've got just the letter Z written, so it could be. I don't. I assume they them.
Okay.
I think. But I'm not sure, and I will work that out for the next. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Haven't they joined the caravan?
Yeah. As well as a few other people, right? Like I think Tilla did, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Tilla joined. Obviously the folks from the mountain joined. Cast and Leaf. They're not all Bruce's family now, are they? Because
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think they might get lent out to other families.
adoption
Yeah.
spree and just like
Yeah. Yeah, and then so we have the conversation. I'm trying to remember what follows the attack. I assume that is like
that's when we
that's when we have those good conversations, right?
there's Briston is a bit of a
Yeah.
tool. So we have the big family meeting.
Yeah.
Briston decides that Briss and Corin on their own aren't an entire family.
And that's how we get the new family.
That's how we get the new family, yeah. And then
I remember coming up with that bit and being like, "There's one very funny way around this, but I don't know if a Briss will think of this." And it was just a good character moment for Briss to be like, "Wait, what if I was a family?"
It's like we're straight up in that situation, and like a lot of sneak peek behind the scenes, folks. I didn't have the first clue about how to deal with the situation. I was like, just off record, did you have any kind of ideas of how we could solve this situation? You were just like,
I can't remember.
okay,
Yeah.
what if you got more members of your family? It's like, yeah, that's a really good idea. But if you listen to the record, if you listen to the actual episode, it sounds like I'm a fucking genius. It sounds like I
I
just.
think I edited that in my own memory so that you were a genius. So you know,
No, absolutely not. I was absolutely lost.
this was turning around with a technicality like, with that sort of like, can't remember the name of the game, but you know, the lawyer game. Go technicality.
Yeah, objection.
Oh, Ace
Objection.
Attorney.
That's
That's
the one.
fun.
I had like God, and now I'm like the other big 3DS or like DS game about being a man with a hat.
Oh, Professor Layton.
Yes, which was in my head as Leighton Buzzard. I was like, no, that's wrong. It's not called Leighton Buzzard. That's a town in the UK.
Professor Layton Buzzard.
Very
It's a very different game.
But yeah, like, so that's what's happening with Briss before you end up like leaving.
Charla has chat with folks. Gets permission to go off and do her own thing.
Yeah,
After a big crying session, which was yeah.
yeah, because I think it's like that. Hey, how did you do this thing with Strail? Sort of thing, and like her family being like, or like her being like,
That's
Yeah.
when Briss bans Corin from going to see her.
yes,
We have that whole thing. It's just like, no, she's dangerous. You're not allowed to play with her anymore. Oh, that was a fun one. The conversation through the tent.
yes, yeah, that was good. I assume Charla's family thing has happened before this. Sorry, you can say something, Steve.
No. I was just that the whole conversation through the tent thing. I can't remember the order though. Like if she had chatted to her folks before, she had the weepy scene before or after that. It was an emotional couple. I can, honestly thinking back, I can see why Charla bailed.
Yeah,
A lot happened.
yeah. But yeah, like, so Charla learned that very nice thing about her family that, like, oh, her parents are kind of doing better-ish.
And it's still fine. They're good. Yeah.
Yeah. In a very different way, but like a good way.
And they still sing
Cat-
songs.
I think Cass is hurt and was like bleeding birds, because that's what Cass does. That was by the bear fight, and then yeah, you go to Eulogy to find out what's happening because
Polly Charla, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do you take Callan with you?
I'm pretty sure Charla takes Callan. I think Briss goes on her own. Or does Charla take Eye off and Briss takes Callan? Like,
I don't think Iof does. I don't think Iof goes. I think Shu goes. Maybe Iof does.
one of those three goes with. No, it's two of them. Two of them go with Charla, don't they?
I can't remember. Bristol's the worst. Let me just see where I can find some Challen stuff. Yeah, I guess Challen must go with someone because, like, I remember them going to the market and learning about Lentilic.
Yeah, and like, don't like they get in trouble. Somebody gets in trouble to let Charlie go off and sneak around. Something like that.
Charla runs away to Eulogy to look for Vens and information. Oh, because Charla has that, like, Eulogy's a library. She's going to try and manipulate her parents into coming with her. She's feeling so powerful. Charla doesn't get her way. It's a bad role. She's been too honest, maybe. That'll learn her. They say no, then they say maybe, and then eventually they say yes. Well, sort of. They want someone to go with her, so Shu and Iof are going to keep her safe. Perfect angels, these boys. So yeah, it's Shu and Iof. I guess Callan must go with some. Yeah. Yeah, Briss just kind of turns up.
Chat saying that Briss goes with the rest of the caravan, apparently.
Yeah. I think you ultimately turn up with Callan and Nilcat once you go inside the temple.
Yes. Yeah, we do the stealth mission thing.
Yeah.
There's like loads of food that could basically feed the caravan for as long as we like, and it's like no mission. We're doing the thing.
Because I remember, I think that one of the things that's happening is like as you talk or like as Vens and Belka talk to the Orscult, there's a big crack appears like behind the Orscult and in the dome. Which is like what drives everyone to go like under the library into like the well and all that. And so then we have this like just remembering like structuring it in my head of like different groups working their way down the well at different paces.
Yes.
And like that's where we get like all of the complex stuff of people fighting people and stuff going bad. And I guess Belkin must be the one that fights Axenius. But
Belka definitely gets pretty badly cut up at some point.
yeah.
I
Okay.
don't remember any characters' names at all. So
We start going down the well.
Mhm.
We find the room with Axenius.
Yes.
Which is the room that has Televractin. Is Vens going down with Belka? Are they together?
Yeah, I think we were, because we were in the dome and then it started cracking. We're like, oh, shouldn't be here. Let's go down.
Yeah.
Because then, yeah, I think then it's us just Scooby-Doo style opening doors, and then it was like the first door we opened.
yeah.
Yeah. Because I remember there being like, there's a lot of doors on a map. It will take them ages to get here.
Like the first one.
Yeah. And I think that's how you get into like that like fight, right?
Yeah. I drained some spirit from a ghost. Charge up my Ven's batteries.
Yeah. And then
Activate Unky Ben's mode.
oh yeah, you made the deal with. I don't know why this bit is the hardest bit to remember. But also you made the deal with the Orscult before you went underground.
Oh, to give up memories.
Yeah. To give up memories in return for a pen. I think you promised to like give up memories, but it's like the pen is like. I think the detail you created about the people here was.
Oh yeah, they have to give you a
create
gift.
a deal, you give a gift to each other.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And people in chat are reminding us that the Memento Mori statue in the foyer offered us a magic door, and we said no, because like I think the Remnant was like, "Hey, can you come and help me?" And Vence and Belko are just like, "No, our friend Tillebrecht is below. We need to do this first." Which you're a Remnant, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well,
Smash cut to 5 episodes later. The Remnant is not fine.
yeah, but that's when we went. We went when it wasn't fine.
It was already very much not fine. But yeah. And I think that was like also implied to be like, hey, if you go and help this remnant, you might get to become like the envoy of death.
Yeah, I mean, and that was very tempting for Uncle Vence.
It'd be cool as hell. Can't believe you turned it down, honestly.
Yeah.
There's cooler envoys remnants to be envoys of.
Yeah.
If I turned out to be like the envoy of the Candy Floss remnant, like, then you'd all be unhappy that I became the envoy of death. You know, I don't just pick the first remnant I see. I'm not that shallow.
You don't just pick the first envoy you see. You want the one that's like specifically good at sort of luring kids away. Is that what you're saying?
What?
Hello, Unky Vence has candy floss.
Look, I mean, previously I was the envoy of cute, but yeah, birds.
Walking around in circles and birds.
The envoy of walking around in circles. Oh yes, you seem to be going the wrong way. The envoy travels in the other direction. The Sharrow travels in the other direction.
I notice you're walking anti-clockwise, heathen.
Oh god.
Actually, important question, Adam. Did the Sharrow go anti-clockwise or clockwise?
I'm sure I can find out.
See, in my head, it's anti-clockwise.
Oh damn! I was thinking clockwise.
I think it's anti-clockwise. Just search for shower and cast.
Because thinking about the map, I always felt like I came down past in it. And then went around and back up.
Yeah, fair.
The shower appears somewhere to the east before journeying counterclockwise around its territory. It likely appears somewhere just south of Carn Vers, where for most of the year you can see almost a line, with spring one side and winter the other. It takes the remnant almost 6 months to complete its circle, but by the time it's returned to near Carn Vers, it's the height of summer there. With its return comes autumn, then winter. It doesn't complete a second cycle though, it just disappears. A creature once so obvious is suddenly elusive. Yeah.
I was just straight up wrong. Cool.
That's alright, you can always ask the envoy for information about the Sharrow.
But yeah, like, I think this is the point where the other thing I remember before I go back down the well is Charla learns about trading from a merchant. Gets taught the concept of haggling and making deals. But then yeah, I think then you go down the well. And as well as like arguing with Vaxenius and doing a little fight, you then start to meet the Conclave and find out that the weird crack that appeared in the dome is because there were a bunch of wizards here and stuff like that.
Just quickly, Shiny Blackbird said in chat, Venz's weird bird fixation cemented my affection pretty much immediately, so it did something, maybe not in the narrative, but you can't have everything. I think that Venz's weird bird fixation wasn't to do with the Remnant, it was genuinely just a character trait. Like, it's just something that Venz likes. Like, cool birds. Let's get some feathers to take for the Sharrow. I don't think it was anything. The only thing was that the Sharrow carried a lot of birds' houses on their back. Like,
yeah, I think the Sharrow was like generally about migration, right?
Yeah,
I think was the concept settled on.
So funny that
remember, like
Venz then picked up a whole village to help them migrate to another place.
Like in the quiet year, we had the like. Did we come with the birds before the Remnant? It was like as soon as we see the birds coming, we know that the seasons are changing or something.
Yeah, I think so.
That was
a big part of the like.
And then the birds didn't come.
And then they didn't show up. Yeah, that was the whole thing. The birds didn't show up one year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you found.
I think we spoke.
That's when you found Venz looking for birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we spoke last time about like, hey, this is what Sharrow looks like, but actually probably what you can see is just a big cloud of birds or something in the middle of it. Like, what is there a Titan in there? Don't know, just birds, isn't it?
There are legs coming out of it, so
they're just other birds.
Just really long birds. Standing on
long birds. No, they're just worms. That's why all the birds are here.
No. It's 60 birds versus one horse-sized worm.
Well, now we learned where the worms went from Embrace. They came and pretended to be a Titan. Anyway, going down the well.
There was a story going on, wasn't there?
Yeah, we're going down the well.
Some bad folks there with tiny hats.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out it sequentially, but like, yeah, you fight against the Conclave, who I don't remember. They're like the hey, we just come and fight unraveling people. We're bad, and they were here to fight the like entwined splintered breath, who was like Venz's old gang, and the reason like. Part of the reason why you came this way as well was because you were looking for, was it Sarata Page as well? Who had potentially been here. And I think they were also... No, they were looking for Ferox Erstrate, who was like their old leader. Lots of people looking for people. And... yeah.
Wasn't Velka looking for Tillabrats? memories or something.
That too, yeah, because I think Telebract had, like, the memories had started going as well.
Mm.
Like, I think they were specifically like, I need to help Telebract because they can't really deal with this again. But yeah, and I think you like get a hint of the big fight happening at the bottom, and you kind of very quickly clash with the Conclave. Who are very good at countering magic is, I remember, a big part of it. I remember one of the things you find is like all of the Splintered Breath are at the bottom trying to get into a vault.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them has put up a wall, and the Conclave are trying to work their way in, right? And then Ven starts fighting them.
Well, just had to work out what was going on.
Yeah.
Start a fight.
Charlotte tries climbing down the chains or something.
Yeah, I think once they're further down, yeah, you find. Okay. So you find Tiller, Vens goes to lead. This is because I was trying to work out how you got split up. Because like Belka and Vens didn't fight together. I think like Vens takes Tiller back out, and then that's how you end up trying to like fight one of the catfish-like member of the Conclave. Because there was Treya All and the other one. These are my two favorite names of the series. Why can't I remember them? Who is the other one from Treya All? Anyone remember?
Again, names.
Yeah. The thing is, it'll immediately come back to me once this is done. Because I remember who. So like, there's obviously that fight. You try to wrap this person in chains. Makot Telassis is the other one, who is, I think, is the one that doesn't last very long, which is why I can't remember the name. Venge tries to wrap them in chains, and they're meant to like wrap around the arms and legs, but all that happens is they just sort of tremble a little bit and don't do anything because it's just like, no. And then I think chain snakes appear, which we learn later is part of Sistra, who was like the envoy that's in here, like the big sensor full of snakes.
Mm-hmm.
And both you and Makot get pulled down to the bottom. Apparently Shu took a Tiller up as well. Okay. Was it like both of you do, and then then the fight happens, and you like just keep going? Is maybe my feel. I think, but at the same time, like Belka starts fighting one of the Conclave and gets in over their head and gets very hurt as like a hook gets put into them.
Yeah.
Didn't they like fall down the hole?
Yeah, I think so. I think this is the thing where Belka constantly falls.
Belka fell down the hole and then Chala fell on top of.
Chala fell
That's
afterwards and Belka caught them.
Yes.
But didn't catch them, and just Chala fell on them.
I think the other thing is like the person that Belka is fighting climbs out onto the chains, maybe, and then that's when Belka does their new move, which is they get to rewrite time.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And rewrites it so they miss like what they're reaching for and like falls to the bottom and dies. But the consequence for that move is that, and like it turns out that actually, because Belka had rewritten how this was working, the big bad of like the Conclave was here, who was Zendabros. So you get like a third, even worse, like Conclave person here.
We love that.
Yeah.
We love worse.
And like, yes, I think this starts like the big fight where Briss runs down the stairs instead of remembering that she has a gun.
One time. You forget you have a gun one time and people never let you forget it.
I mean, it was half the season is the thing, because we were down here for a while. I mean, it was about 4 episodes, but you know, it felt like a long time. And then we do like a lot of fighting, right? I don't know what happens to Zendabros, but I remember that the way that a lot of this ends is that Belka makes a deal with the library, and ends up with a locket that has Terrea all inside and all of the library's memories, which is going to be a cool like move stroke piece of gear to have next season. Benz gets to meet some old friends, Gyla Din, who they give a big hug to. Can you remember any of the other names of the people that are in your group, Ryan?
Yeah, my friend Beans.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What are you talking about? How could you forget?
How can I forget?
Oh yeah, Keen is here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also Falsate, who was like the leader.
Yeah, Falsate I remember because they didn't like me.
Yeah.
Because I left the gang.
Yeah. There was also some baby snarls called Atta and Wonan. One of them dies, if I remember right.
No, I mean Keen croaks it.
After the well, right?
Yeah.
Is that after? I thought it was
Yeah, because Keen is like up on the mountain with Belka.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I enjoyed that I'm reading all of this. It's like Briss down in the bottom of the well. Briss has arrived, Charla is here. But only just. It's like Briss still leading the caravan.
Kind of.
Nilka is gonna come and Cast has a gun. Cast is giving Briss her gun. Oh, it's not even like, okay, so you had a gun for like the episode before you went in is the thing that's really funny. It's not like you got given it loads of episodes again.
Yeah. She literally gets it for the specific reason of dealing with things that might be a threat.
Dealing with things that are far away.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also the thing where I didn't ask how big this hole was, and instead of stabbing someone, I decided to push them off because I thought that was more likely to kill them, and they just get to the bottom and stand up. Oh fuck! I've made a huge mistake.
Do we want to talk about the Keen Beans thing? And
We
it's...
have many times.
Have we?
We've
Okay.
mentioned it several
Okay.
We have every time it comes up. We explain the Keen Beans.
The Keen eared.
But for anyone who doesn't know, do you want to explain the Keen Beans thing?
We recorded some special episodes with some special guests that never got released to the world, and in that, Venz and Keen went on a nice date and had some beans.
Yeah.
And then we'd
Didn't
already,
release it.
and then we'd recorded this episode where Keen says, "Oh, we'll always have the beans, eh, Venz?" And then
It was specifically tell Venz I never liked the beans.
yeah, and then we were like, "Fuck, that's gonna sound so stupid because no one's gonna know what the beans was about."
I think we should have never explained it. We should have just left it and just had it as like this really like obscure, incomprehensible thing.
And then then we had to put beans in the Mustang.
The beans in the Mustang, so
In a really forced way.
Put beans in the Mustang.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
fucking episode. Jeez.
So stuff I'm trying to remember from the bottom of the well. You make a deal with Doya to get into like the vault, right? I think you both. How do we end up dealing with Zendavos? Can anyone remember?
Not even. I think there was the cool like stomp scene where the Splendid Breath did the whole everyone getting in sync.
I think that might actually be how you deal with it.
Like we will rock you kind of moment.
Yeah. I think you basically, I think that's how it works. So you made a deal with Doya, Doya's like, I need a representative. Who I think ends up being Belka to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't want to have to fight Corpus, but also doesn't want his friends to have to fight Corpus either. Does Doya even think Corpus can be stopped? The awkward silence stretches on too long. Not full of promise, really. Apparently Doya does think it can be slowed, even if it's if it's deaf. Again, not encouraging. So Falsate wants to trade Ferox's memories in exchange for their help against Corpus. You make a deal. I think basically they get the memories of the person they're looking for, and then you get the memory, like the Book of Sarata Page, right? The memories of Sarata Page, who was here while you were down here.
Mm-hmm.
So then what happens after this? I can't remember. Briss comes down into the well. The Demon Conclave member is here. Chala is here as well, starts climbing down, falls down, Belka catches. Oh yeah, I forgot that Chala meets the Oscult.
Mm-hmm.
Gains a bond with the Oscult.
How does that go?
How does that go? Obil said I should find you, is what Chala says. Lying. Because Oscult is under the library, right? So they have like a bit of like a wander around under the library, and I think like the Oscult gives some like life advice or something. Because Chala is trying to be like, hey, we're in a library, you're like the leader of this library, can you tell me some information about Strail? Have you, asking for a friend here, have you ever heard of someone who has a remnant inside of them?
Yes.
And then, like, the Oscult has to be like, no, I have not, but if I had, I would be very careful, is my advice. And then Charlotte's just like, oh, here, look what I can do with, like, my icy eyeballs. And then tries to beg the monks to take her down into the library, and they say no. And then the Oscult is like, you can't go down, I'm going to seal the library shut, because, you know, this is too bad, and I can't just let all of these horrible people in the library and just let them go, so they seal it. And then Charla learns about the secret knowledge of Sistra's hidey hole as a potential way out of the library, because there's the big, like, hole in the bottom. And then manages to somehow convince the monks to let her go further into the library. I don't know how Charla keeps doing this. The joys of being a player character, I guess. Yeah. And I think basically the end is Charla goes down. She does unthreatening to try and sneak further down. And then I think yeah, this is when Zenda comes down and is like, hey, you should stand down before I fuck everything up. Falset has none of this, and so Vens gets into like battle formation. And is like, hey, do you want to die down here? It's all collapsing.
That's when we start.
No, what happens is, like, Zenda's like, you should stand down. And Vens is like, what reason do we have to stand down? And Zenda's like, do you want to die down here? And you're just like, suppose that's a good reason, yeah. But then you do a big, like, magic dance, which basically ends up...
Wasn't it? It was really cool, but doesn't work.
Yeah, like, because it, like, starts powering up, and, like, Zenda does what Zenda can do, which is, like, no magic. And I think Charla falls. Belka catches Charla. Chris also comes down and just like skids down the stairs and sees all of this and decides to just fully try and like shove Terea down the hole with force. Terea falls towards 2 harm, leaves the book behind. Oh, you get the book. Callum appears to have, I think like Briss might have a hook in her shoulder as well. Oh yeah, because you're like higher up. You just push Terea down, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah. That was the. I thought it was like pushing them over was going to be way more damaging than doing an actual fight. So I was just trying to get past them quickly, get down to Chala, and they just kind of stand up. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, and like now Charlo's down here, Strail starts driving, like trying to get into the library vault. And I think basically because Strail is doing that, and like Charlo's like, hey, please don't do this. And Strail's like, no, I want to go into the vault. I think basically Charla is able to weave magic because of that, right? Because like Strail fills this room and is able to use that as like almost like a fake set of like the magic threads of spirit.
Something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm just reading this through. Strail tries to make Charla the worst deal, which is, hey, look at all of these people I remember from the note that I have captured and recorded the personhoods of because I killed them. Hey, if you let me go into the library vault, I will reanimate all of these people for you.
Just get some little ice friends.
Yeah, Chala's crying very cold tears and just screams a little heart out at Strail and starts dancing. She's very upset about it. Literally everything. Oh, she's very upset about literally everything, and she wants to pull Strail into the room to help her out. She wants Strail to fill the void she's suddenly felt within the room. Her uncanny potential is showing, and she's the angriest little village girl she's ever been. That's a 7. She just made it. She does exactly what she wants to do, but let's have a look at those consequences now. First, to where? Strail is unwilling and has to be dragged out of Charla through her tears. Incredible. This remnant is such drama lord. It's getting thinner and weaker as it leaks its way out of her, filling the room with a frosted web. But oh lord, this big web is made of spirit, and it's time for Vens. He's tapping that sweet Strail power to force a massive spike of ice out of the ground and into Zenda. Yeah, you kill Zenda with a big ice blast. And then I think there's a load of other stuff which I don't have written down, but like Belka gives Terea to Doya's envoys. Is that sort of like the end of that bit. And I think basically what happens is the locket ends up filling with Terea and the library, and you make a deal with Sistra to like let you out, right? Yeah. And we do the roll to see where everyone ends up. Vens has like a little bit of a moment with his old wizard pals. And can you remember where you all end up?
Yeah, with the book under a tree.
Yeah, Vens has the nice ending.
Yeah. Because Vens did all the hard work.
Go home to your son, or go find somebody you hate and probably die. And chooses the latter, parent of the year. Thank you.
Chris, like, tries to fight a jackal and loses badly.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not like a complete wash, but...
I mean, the jackal basically just refuses to hit you because it's like, oh, you're trying to hit me, you're trying to hit... No, I don't... Yeah. And it's like, do you just want to arrest me? I surrender.
Yeah. Like, that whole scene is still one of my regrets from the series, because like I don't think I was quite ready for like switching games. I just didn't play it. I didn't use it at all. Like you suggested we use, and I just completely didn't engage with that at all. And like that's one of the things that I think if we were recording that now, I'd want to go back and do a retake of that.
I think it still turned out pretty good.
It's still pretty good, yeah. It's just like there was the potential for it to be quite a good back and forth. Like there's some really good questions in there, and we just kind of read through them and just went mind blank and couldn't think of any good ways to use it. And basically, I think we just kind of told the story. I don't think we even rolled any dice, did we?
I think I deliberately was like, let's not roll dice here because it didn't feel like that would tell as much. But yeah,
I just don't think we replaced that with anything I mean, like you offered this system, I just totally didn't engage with it. Like,
It's fun because New
yeah.
Rhine has lots of has a very similar kind of compensation thing, which I'm sure Briss will use a lot.
Yeah.
And then yeah, can you remember what the other two did? Belka went and saw the death of God.
A little sightseeing tour on top of a mountain.
Yeah, spoke to one of the other keepers,
Yep.
like their best friend keeper, who was actually just Doya, in like a simulacrum of their friend.
Dick
And also saw Keen, who was doing their best to hold the world together.
Good lad.
Oh yeah, Keen became the envoy.
Yes, that was it. Keen went to help. Yeah, Keen was
Yeah.
like, I will do this.
Yeah.
And saw Keen just like half sunk into the earth, literally. And Belka also saw Mori die.
Yeah, it was one of.
Mori fell off a bridge, right?
Yeah, because it was just Memento left.
Yeah, and I think then we had I enjoyed so much like how Doya spoke is like I can see all like the ending and then talking backwards through history. Also, everything is narrowing to the point I'm gonna die. Please just leave. Please stop this. This is bad. And then we also had Charles' ending, which was heading off with an ice bear and Strail.
Yeah.
Yep. Heading off on her own with her entourage.
I enjoy how much like Charles is like, I hate you all. You won't tell me anything about Strail. You keep saying Strail's bad. And Strail is literally just before Charla disappears, like, hey, guess what? I killed your entire community. Here's all of them. I can bring them back if I want to, I guess. And Charla's like, no, you seem cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go off with you. Only because you've got an ice bear, though.
I mean, honestly, fair. I would.
Yeah. Callan goes with and follows Charla. So like Callan shows up there. The other characters I think also go back with like Briss to the caravan. And like one of the places we leave off as well is that the caravan has been kidnapped. Or arrested. The caravan is being forcibly escorted by I don't know whether it's a Loma Labrensis or like probably a Loma Labrensis and a Loma Labrensis higher up. Who I have a name for, I guess. I don't know if we actually named them on screen, but they'll be somewhere.
We're gonna have words.
Yeah. You're gonna have to go.
I've got a gun.
I mean, they have an entire army, but you know, a gun is the start.
Hey, it's better than not having a gun.
When
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm misremembering this, but when Vens and Briss meet back up at where the caravan was meant to be, is Raoul also there?
Yeah, because you've arrested, like, because Briss has arrested Raoul.
Yeah.
Briss has arrested Raoul.
I think your little travelling party at the minute is Briss, Vens, Raoul,
And Corin.
and Corin.
Yeah.
God.
Happy families.
I'm assuming, yeah, because like I think Shu and Tilla and Obil have already gone back, right?
Yeah.
So I assume they would have gotten back before this, or as all this was happening.
Mm.
I need to double check that, but I like in my head, I don't think you're traveling with them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we sort of cleared out as many NPCs as we could. Because
Yeah.
things were pretty complicated. It's like, you all, yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
This entire library is about to just collapse, so you should get out of this place.
yeah, I mean, ultimately, otherwise we would have ended up having to take Orbill with us, and that would have been
Can you
a
imagine?
nightmare.
Yeah. The other like small
I
fact
mean,
as well
Mhm.
is that you all still sort of have chains connecting you. If you remember that, there was like a thing where it's like there's like a thread of, I think it was chain, like spirit chain still connecting the 5 of you, because that includes Callan as well.
What a treat.
Yeah,
That's
which
never,
I think
that's
you
never
could-
going to cause any problems in the future.
I think like it might be a good thing because I think it's like you can always find each other, and also you can maybe communicate with each other. Was one of the things that Balco was going to try. Yeah, should double check how that works as well. But like that gives you a fun thing to play with.
All right, that's it. That's
That's
tied
it.
in.
That's it. That's where we are, and now we need to make up some more stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
You'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Well, what other, it can't get worse from here.
Yeah, everything's fine. We just need to go get the caravan back and bring Chanela back, or and everything.
Put Raoul in jail.
Yep. Yeah.
All these easy things.
It'll all be fine.
Ven's sitting on that bond on Raoul until
Oh yeah, you did.
to have a bond.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun little reunion.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a good scene. Look at that.
Oh,
Cool.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I think that might be the stream because it's gone on quite a while.
Yeah, damn.
But yeah, thanks for joining everyone. Hopefully that was useful.
It was as enlightening to all the users it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Gonna
I
go
thought I
and
lost them then, but I didn't. But yeah, thank you everyone.
yeah,
There is
thank
no
you.
audience
I'm gonna go
details
and change my name on the Discord to Beans in the Mustang.
Goodbye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.